Low water, big sandy. Let's get it, y'all. This is the put-in. We're going to hike like a mile down that path. A few years ago, American Whitewater, a nonprofit dedicated to preserving our rivers, purchased a large portion of the classic lower Big Sandy River landscape. Located in northern West Virginia, the land includes 4.25 miles of river frontage, spanning almost the entire river left side of the gorge, the remainder of which is already under conservation ownership. This purchase safeguards the river left Rockville access and portage routes at Wonder Falls and Big Splat. This purchase effort was led by longtime American Whitewater board member Charlie Walbridge and retired Cheat River outfitter Dave Huff. It was made possible by major gifts from over 24 paddlers. Thanks to their generosity, the land will now be protected for its recreational and ecological value in perpetuity. American Whitewater has worked closely in partnership with the Waterfront Development Group who own the land, as well as the West Virginia Land Trust to ensure long-term protection. This is the kind of work American Whitewater's members and donors are uniquely positioned to make happen. The Big Sandy has welcomed generations of paddlers into a highly scenic and richly forested whitewater gorge and has sufficient flow to support paddling on an impressive average of 180 days annually. The river contains numerous classic rapids formed by polished boulders and ledges, each of which is separated by deep pools. The renowned Wonder Falls was first paddled by Jim Snyder in 1973 and has offered many thousands of paddlers their first waterfall experience. The Big Sandy is an enchanting place in which countless paddlers have learned the skills and discipline required to navigate challenging whitewater in an intensely beautiful setting, serving as both a rite of passage and a sublime destination. This is a very special river, and protecting it safeguards an irreplaceable piece of West Virginia's ecology, economy, and quality of life. We are perhaps the last generation that can purchase and conserve large portions of privately owned river corridors of our community's most cherished rivers, like the Big Sandy. American Whitewater was able to recognize this opportunity thanks to local paddlers and had the flexibility and support to take advantage of this urgent and historic purchase. With the land now purchased, American Whitewater plans to transfer the land to the West Virginia Land Trust for long-term stewardship. I posted a video a few weeks back about the Cheat River. Now, the lower Big Sandy is a creek that flows into the Cheat, and so it's part of that whole background story of acid mine drainage, destroying the river, and then the community acting to bring the river back to life and get paddlers back out on the water. So our community is really a force to be reckoned with, and it's cool to learn that history because without them, we'd have a lot of trouble paddling this stuff without being able to portage Big Splat, for example. But so here's the deal with the LBS, 5 big named rapids connected by boogie water like this. A lot of the stuff that's considered boogie water that's not named on the LBS is harder than pretty much anything else I've posted on this channel. All the moves we did on Teeter Creek and on Shade Creek and Rock Creek, we're really building up to the boogie water on the LBS. The 5 big rapids are big. There's a waterfall. There's, a few interesting moves. Don't make all of them. We'll dig into that. But it is a step-up run. I found it challenging. I found it exciting. I found it breathtakingly beautiful. And I broke my creek boat. So the character of this water is that it's moving pretty quickly and there's a ton of rocks. So you got to make sure your read and run is on point. If you're feeling like you're going too fast, catching eddies, surfing waves is a good way to slow things down. But we're also in a line. There's a couple of us, so we have to maintain our boat spacing and all of that good stuff to make sure we're not making traffic jams in this tricky water. Now, because there's so much of this boogie water, you really are not getting a ton of beta. You can't eddy out every couple of yards and say, okay, now there's a rock on your left to avoid. First of all, because there's rocks everywhere. Second of all, because it would take you 10 hours to make the darn run, right? So the beta for this was like 2 bigger ledgy drops. That's it. Read and run. All right, so sometimes the boogie water gets bigger. In this case, this is like the first bigger piece of boogie water that's going to prepare us for the named rapids. One other thing to call out is that we are paddling the LBS here at a pretty low level. 5.3 or so is usually below optimal. It's a little bonier, a little more rocky. And so typically people are paddling at like 5.5 to 6 for like the perfect level. But just keep that in mind as you see like all these protruding rocks and little maneuvers we need to make around them. The beta here is start river left and then work your way to the right through all the obstacles. All right, now it's time for the waterfall. This is called Wonder Falls, and we are running it blind the first time. I've run waterfalls a couple times before. It's exciting, it's fun, but I agree with the choice to run this one blind first. If you've never run one before, looking at it can be pretty scary, where the move is actually pretty simple. You see where to make your boof stroke, you rip it, knees to chest, keep your paddle away from your face, that's it. But there's an amazing thing that happens when you get to the lip of a waterfall and look down. Total mind wipe. You forget everything and lean backwards instinctually. So I think everybody basically does that their first time. And then the second time is when you start to put some theory and some form to it. All right, let's break this down a little bit. I see this curler in front of me. I know that the lip is like 3 feet beyond the curler, so I aim right between them. I wait because I know it's not the lip yet. I plant my boof stroke and I pull a little more left edge than I want, but I keep my paddle away from my face, good brace to land, and it's no worries. But it wasn't quite the boof stroke that I wanted that time.
Woo! All right,
Adam with the monster boof.
Yeah.
Look how he gets that paddle away from his face. Good move. All right, Keith's been paddling for like 2 years, and now he is running stouts, and he is running his first waterfall blind. Let's get it, dude.
GoPro fell. Oh no! Oh, okay.
Bring good shoes and tread carefully. On the walk back up to Run Wonder again, I managed to crush my ankle, so that kind of sucked for the rest of the day. But on the second drop, what I'm looking for is just a really good, controlled, even boof stroke, and that's what I get, so I'm stoked about it. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm looking for a really strong vertical boof stroke on my right. I wait, plant it, pull, and I'm aiming for the boil, which I land basically right on top of. As far as I can tell, this went pretty well, and I had my paddle in a good position to protect my face too. I'll drop a picture in of what it looked like. So a lot of people think of the LBS as three distinct sections. There's the put-in to Wonder Falls, which is all boogie water getting you ready. Then we've got Wonder Falls to Big Splat, which contains the majority of the meat, the named rapids. Then after Big Splat, you've still got a named rapid or two, and the boogie water gets more continuous and I think a little bit more intense, but it's winding down after you finish or pass Big Splat. As you see me paddling this boogie water stuff, I want you to imagine that somebody is stuck upside down in a pin halfway across the river. Do you know how to react to that? Do you know the right things to do to keep that person safe, stabilize them, remove them, get an airway? If you don't, it's important to learn that before going out on water like the LBS. Tell you what, I'm glad I had the code for this run. All those rocks and the shallow scraping and whatnot are really where the code shines. It's great at bouncing off rocks, being round enough to avoid a pin, etc. It doesn't really have edges, and it paddles like the Queen Mary, but boy, does it keep you upright when you want to be upright. I actually don't know which rock is the undercut rock in question here. The more apparent hazard for us was the wood. And so what I'm looking for is just a strong boof stroke, not to flip over and not to get pushed right. This one looks a little bit scary to me, but it really doesn't require a huge move. Basically, Zoom Flume is one big outflow that is obviously downhill. But the thing is, that whole outflow, you want to be on the left-hand side of, the far left, because the rest of it goes into and over a big rock. This is also a place where you absolutely don't want to be upside down. All right, water's not moving that fast. I want to get almost all the way to that river left rock. I'll take that line any day of the week, but I over-biased to go left, so I wound up going through the hole at the end kind of sideways, which is not great.
Oh, yeah!
This is a really remote run, and it's kind of rare to get hikers, but in this case, there were some hikers watching us run this up on the rock, and I was kind of nervous looking at it, and the guy leans over and goes, "Hey, this is extremely dangerous." I was like, "Thanks," and turned around and got in my boat. Nice line, dude.
All right, Zach. Yeah, that's good. Yep. Yeah, bud.
All right, this is Little Splat. There are basically two sections. There's kind of an entry and an exit. I managed to screw it up so spectacularly that I'm going to have Keith lead us off on this one so you can see how it's actually supposed to go. All right, entry boof over this sticky hole, then threading the needle and catching the eddy. All right, he's through the first part here, and now he's going to pick a way out of the rapid, which is basically a crowded, steep rock jumble.
Oh, we're going that way?
What? Yeah, take your time.
All right.
Do you know the line? You got it?
Yeah, I'm going to go right on the rocks and then kind of head to the left.
Nice little rock grind to finish it out.
What?
You tried to do that.
No excuses. We own outcomes on the river because it's our job to be good enough to run the rapids we're running. What I did wrong here was I failed to fully ingest the beta. It was a lot of beta and a long rapid, and my eyes aren't good. So at some point, this beta just fell out of my head as I was approaching the rapid, and I was just fighting for my life the whole way down. This is just a really good example of how important mental attention is when kayaking, but I'm stoked I got through it upright, I tell you that much. Being tired from a rodeo is no excuse to miss an eddy like this. Yo. When I say I was panicking, what I mean is if I had had the mental RAM to be screaming out loud during this whole thing, I would have been.
As fuck, dude.
Sometimes in kayaking, there's something called a must-make move or eddy. The eddy that we're going into now is a must-make eddy. Proceeding past it means you're going to go run Big Splat, class 5+, caves everywhere, drowny, scary rapid. And so that's why we're making sure all the aggregate in this eddy so that we can walk around Big Splat. So check out how gnarly it is just to get to the portage to walk around Big Splat. Big Splat is a class 5+, like I said. Not a lot of people are running it on their first time down the LBS, really more for advanced boaters. So pay attention to how much work it is just to get out and walk around this rapid. It's a legit walk, and it's pretty hefty, so make sure that you're not just wearing neoprene booties or something like that. There's some actual scrambling, climbing kind of stuff to do on this run. Remember I said earlier I fell carrying my boat and crushed my ankle? Rolling your ankle pretty badly before this portage sucks. So that's another component of group dynamics when you're paddling. The group had to help me with my boat here, which I felt a little bit bad for. I could have been more careful and then I wouldn't have been a liability. But it's this kind of scenario that you often don't think of when you imagine, going out for a day of boating. Bringing ibuprofen, med kit, creature comfort, that kind of stuff can be really, really important when you're in the remote wilderness. Definitely think about all of the possibilities there and make sure that you're caring for yourself and your paddling crew enough to prepare for them.
Yeah. Nice.
What's up, Chris? Good to see you. A nice line off of Big Splat. Chris is a Potomac paddler. All right, back in the boat after Big Splat. This is where the read and run really picks up. I think this is the most intense, unnamed, boogie water on the run. Still means it's class 3, but there's just a little more to think about, a little more consequence, in my opinion. And the next big rapid that we're getting ready for is First Island. It's the first of 2 islands. The second one is creatively named Second Island. All right, let's do a few minutes of read and run. I'm just going to show you exactly what's coming next, play some music, and in your mind, try and pick the line. Pick out hazards, things I missed, whatever. This is really good practice. And now you get to see me hurt myself. Inattention to your read and run can quickly result in you getting flipped upside down in this water and really screwed up my GoPro. Took some pretty significant bumps to the head and face. It was all good, but check out what goes wrong. All right. Why is this a bad situation? Well, first of all, I'm on the right side of this tongue that is pushing from left to right into that rock. Now, I'm going to have to get way, way forward or to my left in order to avoid flipping over here. Yeah, that sucked. At the same time, it's good to experience because you have to actually practice your plan B kayaking. If you never flip over in that kind of situation, you won't be used to the kind of like confusion and fog and where am I? And, you know, despite being kind of beat up and confused, there's no off switch for the river. It doesn't stop. So you really need to get yourself to a safe place and collect the pieces and figure out what's next. In this case, I was fine. So just a little shaken up, and we finish out the day. No worries. Keith saw what happened to me and slows it down and does this correctly.
Yeah.
Maintaining control of your own mind while you're kayaking is a really useful skill and sometimes really important. Today, like on this run, I have been beaten up, bumped, bruised, and the thing I'm reacting to sort of emotionally in my head is I don't want to flip over again. I don't want to risk getting my nose broken or something like that. And so what I'm doing in my own head is saying, look, Chris, you are pretty good at kayaking. You have worked really hard to get to this river. You have the skills. You might be dealing with physical or mental fatigue, but that is not enough to take you off this river, to take you out of this experience. You got this. That's something that I do with myself occasionally when I'm feeling like I'm starting to get in over my head, including at work and things like that, is just to level set, reassure myself. And if for some reason there was a voice in my head saying, no, you're not okay, you can't do this, I would have told someone and they would have had my back and figured out how to get me out of there. But I just wanted to give you a window into sort of what I'm thinking on this run. Still having a total blast, but I had to refocus at this point, especially because there's another big ass rapid coming up. All right, Boogie Water is going to pick up a little bit, and then we're in for First Island, which is some tight moves, some scary rocks, and then even more intense Boogie Water to lead us out to the Jenkinsburg Bridge.
Fucking kidding me.
That rapid doesn't have a name on the Lower Big Sandy. So as you're looking at runs on American Whitewater, etc., if it says continuous class 3 Boogie Water, that's what that looks like. I just want you to be aware because it was kind of a surprise to me as a Potomac boater, the number of sort of gnarly, intense, fun rapids on the LBS that just like don't even have a name. Time for tight moves and a scary pin on first island. All right, it's a tight boof, then go right, then hit the drop all the way on the right, almost into the rock, and follow the whole thing out. Yep, that rapid is a game of inches. If you're too far left, you can get wedged into a horrifying upside down pin, which actually happened to Adam. And since we had safety set, it wasn't a problem. But if there was no one there on live bait to get him out of that pin, it would have been an extremely bad day. All right, let's see how Keith fares. All right, just pausing so that you can get a good look at this pin spot. There's 2 rocks and actually more jumbled up in that area. If you float in upside down, your boat could be like beached up on those rocks and your body stuck upside down in the water without a lot of ability to get free and pull your skirt. That's actually what happened to Adam, and you can see Keith flipping over on the outside of those rocks here. So FYI, this is a legit hazard that you probably want to set safety for. Lucky for him, he's washing off to the right here.
A tandem. That's awesome.
How they ran first island in that thing, I have no idea. All right, so after first island, there's really not a lot left. There is a lot of read and run, 3+. There's second island, which I don't think we acknowledged as we went through it. It's just another class 3 kind of boulder garden. The far left line is the most exciting one, I'm given to understand. But just some thoughts about the LBS as we finish up the run here. The first thing is that to run this kind of water, you want to be absolutely confident in your roll. If you're missing flat water rolls, the LBS is not the place for you. And that's just because you really don't want to be upside down for a lot of it. The second thing is that you need to be able to look at a place and then put your kayak there over and over and over. So find boat control, being able to keep your bow angle when you are ferrying across, knowing all of your stern draws and bow draws and all of that good stuff to make sure your angle is where you need it to be. And, you know, the other thing is that it's long, remote, and continuous. This is not a run to do hungover or casually, etc. if you haven't paddled a ton of class 4 and class 5. This is challenging, difficult whitewater. And I would also say that this is what I imagined whitewater would be when I got into the sport. It's incredible when you break down paddling how difficult it is, how many things you need to learn to get out there and do a run like this one. Now, that said, risk tolerance is different for everybody. I saw somebody running this in a ducky, running Wonderfalls, center lines in a ducky. And so, listen, if you're not that experienced, but you have a good safety crew who's willing to take care of you as you beat your way down, I mean, go for it as long as it's within your risk tolerance. But remember, I posted that article by Louis Geltman a while back called Style. Go watch that video if you haven't seen it yet. I think it's better to really lace things when you do them. Just surviving your way down a river is not very impressive. It's more a function of luck than it is anything else. Maybe hard-headed will to finish. But doing it gracefully and stylishly and in the right way and catching every eddy, surfing every wave, that's the optimal way to get down a river. And so give yourself some time, get better at paddling, and then step up to the bigger runs. Don't just do them to do them. Do them because you're ready. And I feel in this case I was ready, didn't have a perfect day, but my plan B kayaking worked out really well. I was able to get up when I went upside down, and I generally put my boat where I wanted it to be. So stoked about this one. Thanks to everybody who came with: Adam, Linda, Keith, Zach, Mike, Jesse, Amy. There's a lot of us. And thanks for watching, y'all. Appreciate it as always. Dude.
Sorry, Amy. I'm paddling like trash.
Oh yeah, your boy is tired. When I get tired, my paddling gets more sloppy, which is a really good thing to work on because the river doesn't get easier. Your paddling just gets worse and you get hurt. So be aware of your fatigue, get your nutrition, hydration, all that stuff so that you can be on your game for the whole run. So way back at First Island, I was already a little confused about how much water was in my boat. To give you a sense, if I would lean a little bit, like to one edge, my calves inside the boat would be like in the water that was in the boat. So like somehow my boat was filling up with water. I was like, was there something with my drain plug? What's going on? No, it turns out I put a crack in my boat probably when I hit that rock and flipped over. And so I'm just taking on water and my boat is becoming harder and harder to paddle. But hey, that's also a very good experience. It's like paddling with a loaded boat if you're going to like do an overnight or something like that. Like I said, Second Island is no big deal as long as you don't go left of the island, in which case it is more significant, more exciting. AW says it's a blind screaming drop. So yeah, do with that what you will.
No.
All right, this is the end of the lower Big Sandy, and it's flowing into the Cheat River. So just around the corner on our left is the Jenkinsburg Bridge, which is the takeout. All right, that was great. Super fun run. At the end of this video, you're seeing me discover that I did, in fact, put a crack in my boat, causing it to fill with water. But yeah, that was a super fun run, technically challenging, demanding, difficult, big, all of that stuff, but not impossible and really, really enjoyable. Remember that the Cheat takeout is the one we're using here, and the drive out is pretty gnarly. Lots of gravel, narrow mountain roads with no sort of safety set up on them. So your Corolla is not the one to take to this takeout. Get the homie with the Subaru or the truck or whatever that can actually handle these roads. Many an accident has been had, I think. Okay, last thing. As always, drop comments. Let me know what I can do better, either in the videography, the editing, or the paddling. Till next time, y'all.